Hi everyone, I'm a member of Group 13. The topic of our group's speech is to efficiently manage a volunteering project. The member of our group are Han Xiaoyue, Sun Yiqi, Jia Ligesu, Sun Yiheng, Zheng Xianyi, Zhang Xuru, and Ma Yinghao. Thank you. We have a section on the topic. This is table of contents. Thank you. I'm going to talk about part 1, the concept and the characteristics of volunteers. The concept of volunteer. Volunteer is a bodiless name divided from the Latin vola or vela, which means hope, determination, or desire. It is generally accepted in the West that volunteers are people who make efforts to improve society and provide warfare outside their profession, and are not driven by private interests or compulsory laws. It refers to the people or groups who are not driven by private profit or forced by law, and are engaged in social warfare undertaking based on a certain morality, faith, conscience, compassion, and sense of responsibility. China Youth Volunteers Association defines volunteers as those who voluntarily to serve and help the society and others based on the conscience, belief, and responsibility without material reward. And characteristics of volunteers. The voluntary service has 4 basic characteristics: public warfare, voluntary, free, and organized. The nature of public warfare is the engine of voluntary service. It defines the basic purpose of voluntary service to serve and help the society and others. It distinguishes voluntary service from all kinds of activities, especially commercial activities, whose fundamental purpose is to realize personal intentions or the intentions of the organization. Voluntary is the basis for the normal development of voluntary service. It distinguishes voluntary services from administrative orders. Organizational activities, including public warfare activities, free is the basic requirement of voluntary service, which distinguishes voluntary service from paid service. Organization is the institutional guarantee from the development of voluntary services. It requires the establishment of a completely set of law and regulations, organizational structures, and internal norms for voluntary services, and the unified organization of activities by voluntary organizations. At the same time, the management of volunteers is strengthened, which distinguishes voluntary services from voluntary public warfare activities of individuals. Thank you. And part 2, volunteer responsibilities. Different kinds of volunteer work require different volunteer positions. Let's take volunteers at football games as an example. The certificate job description. Volunteers will need to use computers and production equipment to create competition credential, and therefore certification volunteers need to be familiar with the use of computer equipment and related software, and be able to handle basic computer problems. Volunteers are required to confirm information in the ID, the database, and print even ID for event related stuff, such as volunteers, media, and players. This position is an administration position, and job requirements. Good at use computer and the related software can solve some computer problems. There are several other tasks like this: ticket checking and audience guidance services to attend media services game operation activity to promote. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Han Xiaoyue. I would like to see the topic of the volunteer selection and recruitment. Classification of volunteers. The first step is divided into policy-making volunteers. The second type is divided into timing volunteers and temporary volunteers. The third type of service can be divided into welfare volunteers, education volunteers, and control volunteers. The fourth type is divided into administrative volunteers, professional volunteers, and auxiliary volunteers, based on the service content. Channel. The recruitment of volunteers is usually done by volunteers organizations sending recruitment information online or on university content. Volunteers recruitment information should include activity information, recruitment number, recruitment conditions, employment method, and benefit. Registration time and place. Choose motivated. Motivated volunteers make clear the content of volunteers' selection, analyze the needs of volunteers, and provide the practical tools for selection.
My name is Yiqi. I would like to talk about volunteer strategy, the concept of volunteer protection. Participate in training provided by group organizations and volunteer organizations. Require access to the necessary conditions and necessary guarantees to engage in volunteering. Apply to become an individual member of the Grassroots Volunteer Association. For outreach access to service provided by volunteer organizations and other volunteers. Suggestions and opinions to recommends and volunteer organizations on volunteer service work. Otherwise covered by relevant laws, regulations and relevant regulations formulated by group organizations and volunteer organizations. Volunteer equities and guarantee checklist. Number 1. Mechanism volunteers refer to the limited.
Assalamu alaikum and greetings everyone. My name is Jalika Su. You can also call me Ash. And today we are going to use this slideshow to really understand what volunteer training is and the meaning, content, and so on of volunteer training. All in all, in addition to being beneficial to the society and the person being served, volunteering can also make volunteers better self, which is one of the effective ways for individuals to improve their personality.
Hello everyone, I'm Song Yiheng. Today I took this topic about age process. Hello everyone, I'm Song Yiheng. Today I took this topic about age process of volunteer management. The first one is volunteer service planning, including the development using mobilization and management of volunteers, service demand, and organizational capacity by need to be considered. The second one is basically guarantee of volunteer service, including volunteer manager, relevant volunteer system and policy. The necessary budget and equipment. Next one is service project and job development needs to be distinguished from the work of salaried employers. There are 5 more points on this page, which are volunteer interview and marketing, volunteer induction and training, volunteer team building and support, volunteer dimension and achievement transformation, volunteer monitoring and evaluation. Such as volunteer interview and marching volunteer in dark and training, such as cooperative learning, group training, and supervised learning. Volunteer team building and support means team building, management, team cultural, team development. Volunteer dimension and achievement transformation. It had 2 points. Exit interviews, reinforce the gains and experience. The final one is volunteer monitoring and evaluation.
Hello everyone, my name is Sen Xianyi. My program is the premise and the concept of volunteer motivation. On the premise of spontaneousness and volunteer use relevant tests to regain later. Their behavior and say together their runs. There are 3 ideas. Number 1, motivate volunteers through better technology. Number 2, we should support and canalize the working of volunteers so that they can work better and more effectively. Number 3, can use improve the system. Everyone likes a good working environment, and so does it. The better the working environment will attract more people to join. Thank you.
Doesn't want to do is you can. I am volunteers who have worked in the service space for a period of time. How to create reports of conditions, physical conditions, or emergencies. Today, I will talk about the process for volunteers to create in the Western plan. Signing of the volunteer service agreement of the Western plan involves the 3 subjects: the local communist youth league committee, service units, and volunteers. The Education Bureau. After the first step to the youth course, committee report, written application, the Western exit plan is subject reason. It doesn't want to do is you can't just quit. Must be 4 major reasons, such as physical problems, such as changes in the home. Youth course committee agreed to after will send you a form. Need a service unit male son, head of the party committee in a triplicate, 1 for service unit, 2 to the youth league committee. So and the youth league committee said that later to say with the service unit to get the agreement of the service unit, signature and seal. Second, the computer should write and print the application form started with the service unit and return the form to the youth league committee. Go through this to the resignation procedures are finished. After the handover procedures to do a good job, the journal resignation application can need 2 or 3 days. It should be noted that if you work until the 15th day of each month, you can get the salary of the month, and the project office will also pay the social security of the month to you. If you are not in a hurry, you can leave after the 15th day.